Hi everyone, welcome to Visual Imaging. Today I'm going to introduce you to Photoshop, and we're just going to kind of look at Photoshop and just start to understand how it is that we use this tool. Photoshop is a really incredible program. I use it for a lot of different things. I make art with it, I edit photos with it, I alter drawings with it, I make patterns with it, and you will find that you will use it for a lot of different things. So let's get started. I'm going to open up Photoshop. All right, so this is Photoshop, and over here on the left it says Create New or Open. Now depending on what you're doing, sometimes you want to open something you've been working on, but we're going to create new. So this comes up. You can make a custom size image. So for today, we're gonna work with inches, okay? So it says here you have a lot of different options. Pixels or inches is normally what we work in. I'm gonna do inches, and I'm gonna do a 5 by 5. I want my resolution to be at 300 pixels per inch. RGB color is good. White background is good. Create. Okay, so this is my 5 by 5 image. So this is Photoshop. All right. So over here on the left, I have a lot of different tools, okay? And some of these will be familiar to you and some of them will not. And up here, I have another toolbar, and these will change based on what tool I'm using over here, okay? So let's say I click on this brush tool. You see up here, this all changed, okay? I'm going to click on the text tool, and you see now I have like font size, and things like that. So this will all change. This will stay the same, okay? Over here, I have my layers, and this is going to be really important, all right? So when we work in Photoshop, we work in layers. So, oh, and see, I already created one, which I don't want to do. So just ignore this really fast. I'm going to delete this layer. Okay, when we work in Photoshop, we work in layers. Just as a good habit to get into, I like to just go ahead whenever I start a new project and create a new layer. I don't want to mess with this background, okay? And you see it has a little lock on it that tells me that it's locked. That doesn't really mean I can't work on it, okay? But I don't want to mess with this. So down here, there's a little plus sign, and if you hover over it, it says Create New Layer, okay? And you can do that with any of the tools over here, okay? Clone Stamp tool, and it's going to tell me how to do it. Frame tool, it's going to tell me how to do it, okay? So this is a handy little thing to know. But anyway, talking about layers. So down here, the little plus sign, I'm going to create a new layer. So this layer, there's nothing on it. You see this kind of gray and white checkerboard? In Photoshop, that means it's empty. There's nothing there, okay? Now I can name this if I want to, but there's nothing on it yet, so I wouldn't even know what to name it. So I'm going to come over to the brush tool. Okay, so here's my brush. Now, your colors are down here at the bottom, okay? Now, I was working with a light blue last time I did this, but it should default to black and white. If it doesn't, just press D for default, okay? We're just going to work in black and white for now. So, here's my brush. Sorry, my computer's a little slow. And this is just paint, just like anything else, okay? Now over here, you've got a little eye on this layer. So right now the eye is visible, so that means that this layer is visible. Now if I come over here and click off of it, it's not visible anymore. But you see down here, it's still there, it's not gone, okay? So I'm gonna click it back on. All right, I'm gonna create another layer. and I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to show you why this is so useful. So let's go over here and change the color actually. So if I want to change the color, I can click on this black square and you can just play around with this. I'm going to go with a blue, press OK, and I'm going to do another blue little squiggle. Okay? So now I've got two squiggles, right? And let's say, wow, I thought I was going to like this blue squiggle, but I really don't like it. And so I'm going to turn it off. Now later, if I decide, you know what would look really good is that blue squiggle, I can come back, turn it back on. It's not gone, all right? And this is going to become very important as you work, okay? So let's just turn that off for now. I can come over here, I can click on it, I can title this black squiggle. I can title this blue squiggle. And I don't title my layers very often, but it is good to know that you can do that. Okay, so let's play around with this squiggle here, all right? Now, over on the right-hand side, here are all my layers. So I have a background, I have a black squiggle, and a blue squiggle. Now you'll see that this layer here is grayed out. So if I try to do anything on this layer, look, it's got a little, like a circle with an X through it, which means, oh, I can't do anything because that layer isn't visible. It's not going to let me work on that layer when it's not visible. So if I want to manipulate this layer, I need to click here. So now I can kind of manipulate this. So let's play around with that. Oh, sorry guys. I am going to come up to this top tool, which is the Move tool. All right, you're going to use this a lot. So I'm clicked on the Move tool, and that just means I can move this around. Okay, which is very, very useful, right? So that's a really, really useful tool that you will use a lot. I can kind of move it off the page if I wanted to. I can move it over here. Okay, so get accustomed with the Move tool. All right, so we're just going to look at a couple of tools today. Let's work with this tool. This is what it says the rectangle tool. I generally call this the shape tool because if you right click, you'll see it's not just a rectangle tool. There's a rounded rectangle tool, an ellipse tool, a polygon tool, a line tool, and a custom shape tool. So this allows you to make perfect shapes, okay? So I'm going to click on the ellipse tool. And I'm going to click and drag. So I've made a shape and this properties boxes come up, okay? Here are the shape details. Now this is important. What it's telling me right now, you see this has an X through it. That means that there's nothing inside the shape, but I want to fill this shape. So I'm going to click it. I'm going to click on this color and it fills the shape. Now then we can go to this box. This tells me the color of the outline and I can change this. Maybe I want to make it black. Maybe I want to make it thicker. Oh, it's really thick. It's kind of cool though. Okay? So you can just play around with that, okay? Now once I'm like, I see this shape, I really like it, I can use these two little arrows to collapse, okay? So now you'll notice I didn't make another layer before I did that. It's because I knew that the shape tool automatically makes another layer when you use it. So does the text tool, but not every layer does that. So as you're getting used to Photoshop, just go ahead and make another layer. I should have said that to begin with, but that's okay. So now I have this circle. I can click on the Move tool. I can move it around if I want. Okay? So now we have a black squiggle, we have a blue circle, and we have a blue squiggle. So let's turn that blue squiggle back on. Okay? So, let's say I want to move the blue squiggle over here. Okay? Now, you also can rearrange your layers, and this is going to be really helpful. So let's say I want the black squiggle to be on top. I can click it and drag it up. See, now it's on top of the circle. Click it, drag it up again, and now it's on the very top. Okay? So I can move that around. This is good to know. You can always kind of move these things around. Now, as you work, sometimes you get to where you just have too many layers, okay? And you just need to kind of condense them. So here's a little trick. You can always merge layers, or you can flatten your image. You don't want to flatten your image, and we'll talk about that more. But what I want to do, let's say I want this black squiggle and the blue squiggle on the same layer. I'm going to go up here to Layer, and I'm going to click Merge Down. And it's going to put those on the same layer, okay? Sorry, I was letting my dog in. Okay, now I can still manipulate this, right? I can put the circle on top, I can move it around, okay? So let's say I want to add some text, all right? Now, just as we get started, go ahead and make a new layer, but the text tool will create a new layer for you. But until you get used to it, just get in the habit of making a new layer. You can always get rid of it. So before I add text, I'm going to change the color. So I can come down here to the foreground color. So this is my foreground color and this is my background color, the white. But the foreground is what I want to work with. So I'm going to click on the foreground color and I want to do like a strong red. So I'm going to go like really red. Press OK. I'm going to click on my text box, or my text tool, excuse me. And I am going to draw a text box. Okay. And this kind of filler comes in. I'm going to type Meredith is cool. That's me. So I can, now that I have this text, I can kind of change it around. Up here at the top, see, because we're on the text tool, these tools at the top changed. So let's see. I can play around with the, let's see, I'm going to go to this. I like this kind of Apple Chancery. Meredith is cool. I can make it bigger. Now if I do that, I have to make this bigger. Okay. Now, once I've done that, I can click on the Move tool, and just like any other layer, I can move it around, okay? All right, so let's do one more thing. I don't want to show you too much as we get started, but I just want you to kind of start seeing what it is you can do with Photoshop, okay? So let's say I'm really happy with this, okay? I know this is a silly little drawing, but it's just to show you guys how this works. Let's say I'm happy with this, but I want to change the background, okay? So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to click on my background. Again, I don't want to mess with that. I'm going to leave that white and plain, and this will make sense as you continue working. You'll be really happy that you haven't been messing with your background. So I'm going to go ahead and create another layer. And you see, it doesn't add it to the top. It adds it, because I was clicked on the background, it added it right on top of that. So now, I'm going to change my color again. I'm going to do like a light pink. I love pink. Press OK. And I'm going to go to this paint bucket tool. Click it, and I've changed the background. Okay? So the main things I wanted to show you today in this tutorial were the tools over here on the left, and just play around with these, and the tools at the top, how they change based on the tool you're clicking on the left, and working in layers, okay? So this is just a quick little intro to Photoshop. I hope this was helpful, and I'll have more tutorials soon. Okay, bye.